Hi, let me mute this so I don't hear myself. Hi, how are you? I am Beth Koritz, licensed professional counselor and intuitive clarity coach. And I'm so glad to be back this week doing some live authenticity clarity coaching. So KJ has been with me often these past few weeks, and she's going to be here again today. We just spoke a few minutes ago, but something's holding her up and I don't want you guys to have to wait. So I figured I'd jump in here on my own and talk about anything, some things. If you are here, I put the Zoom link in the comments, so you can pop into the Zoom room anytime you want, or you can comment here and I'll answer your questions. Just send me your questions and I'll answer them that way. So I'm going to talk about just a couple random things until KJ gets here and we start doing the one-on-one coaching. I received a marketing email this morning for a 30-day cleanse. And for those of you who have worked with me or follow me, you will know how much my blood started to kind of simmer and simmer, high simmer, boiling. I've done lives on this before. Diet culture saddens me because it's based solely on us feeling like we have to be this to be accepted. We have to be this to be right. If we're not this, we're wrong. People who do cleanses there are all kinds of different reasons to do them, but they were specifically marketing this for weight loss. And I've already talked about how I think New Year's resolutions, which almost always have to do with weight loss, cause more harm than good for us. Diets, as we know, are destined to fail. Less than 3% of diets are successful for 2 years or more. And yet people still keep doing the same thing, knowing that all their past diets didn't succeed, but they're going to try again with a different one. This one will be the winner, but none of them are. It's so scientifically documented at this point. So this really triggered my, oh, don't do this to people feeling of wanting to defend everybody and say, this is not the way to feel good about yourself. Any problems you take into a diet, you still have when you come out of a diet. Okay, so I'm just urging everybody to really be on the lookout for these things and don't fall into the same traps you've fallen in years past. Also, when it comes to resolutions, we tend to, like, that's written in concrete. It's more than a goal. It's more than an intention. Resolutions tend to be like ride or die. That's the mindset that you go into a resolution with. And that's the wrong mindset to do anything. And that's why most resolutions by the end of February, they're done. They're shot. Maybe you've had a good run for 4 or 6 weeks, but by the end of February, it goes in the I failed column, or, I'm disappointed in myself column, or I just couldn't do it. It was something wrong with me. I feel, everybody else can do it, I can't. All these negative, self-limiting stories that we tell ourselves that now are part of us again. So I actually just did a post on this in a group that I'm just a member of about 20 minutes ago. Instead of doing resolutions this year, some people say do goals instead. It's instead of saying, this particular post that I commented on, they wanted to stop drinking alcohol, read more, and spend more time outdoors. So you could say, well, my goal is to, but that's not so, that's not such a positive, directive mindset either. It's not, that mindset isn't going to necessarily get you to your goal. But because then your goal becomes a should. Well, I should do this. I set this goal, I should do this. And shoulds come with burden. Shoulds come with the feeling of less than if you're not following through. And it doesn't come with any inner validation. It doesn't come with any why. Why is this goal? So my suggestion and how I coach is write down what you want to have happen, your priority of want in 2022, because 2022 is going to be the year of you. So hopefully any wants that you have will be in wants that are for yourself growth, for your joy, for feeling in your body, ways to do that. So I want X because Y. All right. So in other words, for this woman who posted, I want to decrease or eliminate my consumption of alcohol because I will feel physically better. I will have more self-worth. I will save money. I will have more energy in the morning. So I want to read more in the coming year because it brings me joy, because I learn things, because I see myself in the things I try and read. See how this works? I want to do this because this is what I get from it. Then when you're sitting there on February 15th and you're thinking, what am I going to do today? Oh yeah, I'm going to read because that's what I want to do because it makes me feel good. Or you're at a party and somebody says, can I get you a drink? And you say, no, thanks, because I want to feel better in the morning. I want to feel great when I wake up. If it's a resolution, no, I can't. I can't have that drink because that's my resolution to not drink this year. So you're going from the I want to I can't. See how that changes your mindset? I mean, it's really a huge leap in mindset. So if you have questions about that, if you have something you wanted to make a resolution and you're not sure how to reframe it as a want, hit me up in a DM and tell me what it is, and I will happily help you come up with how to frame it as a want and what your because following it will be. We can just do that in a DM. That's easy. Okay. And I have to say, it's much easier when you're not the person trying to figure it out. So when I say it's easy, that is not to in any way diminish your ability to do this, but some things are easier from a outside view. You know, I come to it with no loaded judgment, no thoughts of what it should be, or other people's voices telling me why it shouldn't be. So it will be easy for you too, but if it's not right now, I'm here to help you. Okay. Let's see. Also, last night, this is what KJ and I were going to talk about today. Hopefully, hope she's fine. So we were going to talk about, last night was the very last week of my clarity group experience. So that's the experience where people, just checking for comments. That's the experience where for 6 weeks, we meet as a very small, intimate group, 3 or 4 people, 5 absolutely maximum, so that we can go through the first portion of the Clarity program, which is all about learning who you are on an authentic level, breaking through your limiting fears, and breaking down your self-limiting beliefs, taking 100% responsibility for everything you think you do and you feel. So for all of your thoughts, actions, and emotions, fully owning them, not blaming them on anybody else or on any situation. And then really creating a process for changing thought patterns and changing behavior patterns. So last night was the last session. So we kind of culminated everything we put together. And then we really worked on how to take the thought patterns or behavior patterns that have been supporting our limiting self-beliefs and our limiting fears and change those fundamental behaviors and thoughts. Okay. And in doing that, we start really fully embracing who we are. Now we know ourselves. We know what makes us us. We know what qualities we have, that personality traits that we have that are who we authentically are. So we no longer put as much, if any, relevance to what other people think about who we are or how we behave, our choices we make. And there's such a freedom to doing things because we know it's the right thing for us. And we know we're being our best self in doing it. So there's no resistance about being selfish in doing what's best for us, because we're doing it as our best self, which means we have compassion for anybody else that it involves. We are going to bed every night having looked in the mirror and saying, today I was my best self, or today I tried to be my best self. I didn't do so good in this area, but I'm going to work on that tomorrow. And it doesn't make me less than or bad or anything else that I didn't do something as good as I meant to, want to, or hope to in the future, because I'm going to work on it and do it better next time. That is what fully embodying authenticity is about. And here she is. I'm going to let KJ in. Let's give her just a second. Zoom's kind of slow on this. There you are.
Talk about slow. My computer was not letting me in.
Yeah, Zoom is definitely slow from the time they tell me you're here to the time I admit you and you get here, but you're here now. So I don't know if you're watching the live while you were trying to get in, but I had just talked about more New Year's resolutions and how to transfer those from I shoulds to I wants. And then I was talking about really what we had been doing in the group. So now that you're here, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. Although people who have watched week after week, they're seeing somebody new every week.
Yeah, I know. So are you.
I like you as a redhead. That's awesome. Yep. So I'm wondering if you could perhaps, sorry about my dog. There must be somebody outside. Cassidy, come here. I'm wondering if you could perhaps talk about, before you and I started working together, and that's only been what, 3 months, not even 3 months, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
About 2.5.
For sure. Yeah, 2.5 months. What you thought authenticity was before we started working together, how you defined being authentic versus how you define being authentic now.
You know, I really never even really thought about it. being my authentic self. I thought I was who I was, you know, day by day. That's who I am. Never thought about being me. Who is Kelly?
Mhm. So when I first brought up, or like, I think the first you heard about it from me was on the retreat when I was talking about, I introduced my book.
Your book, yeah.
Right. And so when you first heard me say, living authentically, did you think like, don't we all? Or what went through your mind at that point?
Yeah, I at first it was like, well, aren't I? What do you mean? I didn't quite get it at first, but the more you and I had talked, and I started realizing that, hey, wait a minute, there's something to this. I don't think I am, but I'm not sure.
What made you think that perhaps you weren't?
Just things that I was doing to please other people. That even though I was a yes person, no matter what, I always said yes. And you at one point told me, stop saying yes. I'm like, well, how do I do that? I can't do that. And, then make somebody upset. I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to watch my grandkids, or, no, I'm not going to help you move. But, then I started thinking, if my back hurts, no, I'm not going to help you move. Sorry, I just had back surgery. No, I'm not going to watch those heathens tonight.
I've never heard you call them that. So
well, it usually comes along with his little sisters, and they're not mine, but I watch them anyway.
So what I'm hearing you say is in the past, you never considered yourself while making decisions.
No, I never.
Yeah.
Never.
It wasn't that you chose somebody else. You just never even thought about yourself and how you fit.
If I had plans, I would drop them. I would cancel my plans because I wasn't the important one. I wasn't important enough to worry about me and what I wanted or what I needed. It was just whatever anybody else needed or wanted, and I was there. Even though
oh, I think you froze.
This was Rod Stewart's last concert, and you froze.
Yeah, I could hear you. Can you hear me now? Let's give her just
now.
Okay, good. You were saying something about Rod Stewart's last concert.
I was saying, like Rod Stewart's last concert, I had won tickets to it, and I gave those tickets up because somebody needed my help.
Wow. Okay.
And that was a bucket list, was to see Rod Stewart in concert. But I gave those up to help somebody else out. So that's how much of a yes person I was. And now I ain't giving those tickets up. If I get tickets to Elton John, no, I don't. Unless there is lots of blood and bones sticking out, I still might consider it. But if you're dying and on your last breath, I'll be there. Otherwise, I'm going to see Elton John.
Okay, good. I want to really point out, though, this isn't about being selfish, right? It's not about
Not at all.
Being from the place, it's all about me.
No.
But it is about just recognizing I get to consider myself.
Exactly. I've missed out on so much in life, so much joy and happiness for myself that, not saying that I deserve, but needed at times, I have given that up to say yes to someone else. And I've learned a lot about self-care.
Mhm.
And that was something that I had never done. You know, you always hear about self-care, 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 and I could never do it until we started going through this.
Mhm.
Once we started going through this program, then that's when I started learning, okay, it's not selfish to do it. It's needed.
Mhm.
I mean, I need to be happy, and I can't make everybody else around me happy if I am totally miserable.
Mhm.
And I can't blame them for being miserable if they're miserable because I'm making them miserable.
And the
So,
other thing that works in conjunction with that is you're increasing your self-worth. Some people don't do self-care because they don't feel worthy of it. But as you're getting to know yourself, you're increasing your self-worth. As you start, and because you're increasing your self-worth, you can start realizing, I get to show up. I matter when I'm making choices and decisions, which
yep,
exponentially increases your self-worth. Everything is very interwoven in this process, right?
yes, it is.
So now I'm just curious, what is your definition of living authentically now?
Living authentically for me now is being my true self. And it took a lot of soul searching, a lot of digging to find out who I was, who I am. Because what I thought I used to be when I was in a happier time in my life, I am still that person. I am still all those things. I am still her. Got lost along the way. And I just had to dig to find her again and bring her back. And I'm so much happier now. And I feel more free. That's a huge one. I feel free.
That's to use that word, the word I used to describe it too. So the soul searching you were talking about, was that hard?
Oh gosh. Yeah, it was. It was because when I started looking at myself, I mean, really digging deep and looking at myself, a lot of negative things came up. But then as we talked about them, I realized, a lot of them weren't negative like I thought they were. They were actually, a positive, like being when I said I was weak,
Mhm.
I wouldn't ask for help for anything.
Mhm.
Uh, like you said, it's actually not a weakness, it's a strength to
Mhm.
be able to ask for help.
Yeah, it's hard to do. So if
It,
you're doing something that's hard, it has to be a strength, right? You're overcoming a fear of looking less than or feeling less than or showing people you can't do everything by yourself. What will people think? You're overcoming all those things in order to ask for help. So it must be a strength to do that.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was tough going through a lot of those. And let me mute myself for just a second. I got to yell at my son to get my charger because now my computer wants to die on me after it wouldn't let me in.
Okay. While she's muting herself, to yell at her son for a charger. If you have any questions or comments, hit me with a DM or put them in the comments and I will answer them in this call, or I'll reach out to you one-to-one to answer them directly with you. Okay. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time and your presence when you are with me on these lives or when you're watching the replay of these lives. Can you unmute yourself while you're waiting for it?
Nobody's answering me.
Oh, okay. Well, it's already 4:30, so we will end in just a moment. So you were saying it took some real soul searching, which was hard, really hard at times, but you did it. It appeared to be relatively effortless from my point of view.
It seemed really hard. And maybe it was just emotionally hard.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much that, it took time or, a lot of effort that I just had to put so much into it. I think it was emotionally hard to
Yeah, you're
do.
breaking through some stuff.
And yeah, I mean, there were times I cried. There were times that, I was like, whatever.
Curse Beth.
But, in the end, I couldn't be happier that I did it because I am a different person than I thought I would be. I mean, I haven't smiled and laughed so much, even with my mom's passing, last month. I still smile and laugh and find happiness and joy.
Yeah.
That normally I wouldn't have done. I'd still be in bed mourning, and instead I'm, celebrating.
That's a very
what we
big
had.
change. So do you feel now that you fully embody your authenticity?
Fully, I wouldn't say 100%.
Yeah.
By any means.
I mean, I'd be shocked if you did say 100%.
I still have work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, I started journaling,
Mm-hmm.
which I've been trying to do for 2 years and never
What's
did.
different this time?
I want to. It wasn't that I, had to do it because people are saying journal. It's I want to, because I want to see how I'm changing throughout this.
Mm.
I want to go back and see when I've had a day that were, one of those days that I should have just stayed in bed.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the difference in what I'm writing down on those days, how I'm writing it, how I'm perceiving that day.
I love that you gave that example because, this is not scripted. We do not discuss what we're going to talk about beforehand. I mean, we might discuss, like today, we're going to talk about what she thought about living authentically before we work together and after the program, but we don't talk anything other than that. But yet what you just said was a perfect example of what I was talking about while we were waiting for you to get here, about how to do how to replace a New Year's resolution with I want because, and you're taking out the shoulds and the have tos, and it works brilliantly. And you just gave a perfect example of it. So thanks for that. Thank you. So in the interest of time and your computer battery, oh, the reason I said I'd be shocked if you said, yes, I fully embody my authenticity is you have come so far in such a short time that I don't know that anybody would be able to say, yes, 100% after 8 or 9 weeks of doing the work. But
Right.
at the end, you did take that assessment in the group, the week 1 assessment, and then you took it again week 6. And so your progress is quantifiable through that, you know, and when I saw your results last night, it was very close to where I am, you know, which was like, wow. I mean, it's just so awesome to see. So, yeah. So just think, you're entering into a new year as the real KJ.
Yep.
The authentic real KJ. What a blessing, or a happy turn of events, or whatever kind of word you want to use to describe it. But it's a great thing. It's going to make 2022. I mean, I've been saying 2022 is the year of you, but your 2022 is really going to be the year of you.
It is. I know it is.
Yeah.
Because
so thank you. I'm sorry.
I would say there's going to be so many changes in my life.
Yeah. And I can't wait to just be by your side and see them as they happen.
I appreciate that.
So I want to thank you for being here again. Hopefully other people will jump up and say, yes, I want to do a live coaching. But until that happens, I'm so grateful that you've agreed to keep coming back. And I just want to remind everybody that I'm going to be starting a new group in the new year. And if you want to be a part of it, let me know, because with only a maximum of 5 people, they're gonna fill fast. So let me know if you're interested in the least. We can hop on a phone call and we can talk about what it's going to look like for you specifically and how it can help you. And I shoot honest if I think that there's a reason maybe it won't be the best avenue for you, I'm going to tell you that. So because it is such a small group, and because relationships are made with the people in the group, KJ, you made a really good one.
Yes.
It's important to me that everybody who's in the group is in the right place for themselves. So let me know. Oh, that's you coming back in. And hit me with a DM. In the meantime, have an incredibly safe and happy new year. Please, if you're not boosted, get boosted. Wear masks all the time. And let us go into 2022 hoping, with some hope, that it's going to be the end, the year that this pandemic allows us to let life return to normal, or a pre-pandemic stage, whatever that looks like for you. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Have a great weekend and Happy New Year.
Bye, everybody.